Hey, what is up, YouTube? This is BrianR225, and I hope you're enjoying this evening. And I thought I'd take you through my Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile, and this is Vampires. Now, I do not have Vampires Domain. Now, it just arrived in the mail at my house in Maryland. I'm currently in Virginia. I came down here to go to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, which I just won with this Vampire deck. I didn't have Vampires Domain. I did a build without it, because I ran Zombie World. I'm on other techs, some very spicy techs, which I think you'll be surprised to see in this deck. So without further ado, let's get started. Start off with the new support, Double Scarlet Scourge. Now, Scarlet Scourge is like the newest Vampire Duke of the deck. I do not run some Neo cards. I mean, like, I do not run Vampire Grace because, well, you pay 2,000 life points. That's like Soul Warning. I would run Soul Warning, which would be a lot better. Scarlet Scourge, he's a lot better because when he's normal special summon, you pay 1,000 points. You can special summon a vampire monster from your graveyard, except Scarlet Scourge, and you can only use his effect once per turn. And his other effect is that when he destroys a monster by battle, you can special summon that monster to your field, and it becomes a zombie type, which is very good because you can easily use that to link up into a vampire sucker if you wanted to. Next up, which is what you're about to see, Red Eye Zombie Dragon. He is like one of the best cards in the deck that I like to use because, just like I said, one of the cards you're going to see later is Zombie World, because I run this in the deck, because it really helps out the vampire deck, and this helps it out too, because when this card destroys a zombie monster by battle, it gets special summoned to my side field as a zombie type. And with Zombie World, you'll see why, and I'll explain that later. Next up is one copy of Vampire Lord. He's one of the old cards. Now, you're probably thinking, why would you run Vampire Lord? You should have run Vampire Lord. Well, I wanted to run him because, you know, he's a vampire card, and he's a 2K. And when he's destroyed by a card effect, you know, some people would destroy, people do destroy your cards by a card effect like Regeki, Dark Hole, Alternative White Dragon, or any of those cards, or Donpa, Mark Spit for Hire, or any of those cards, and he will get special summoned. So, and you can easily special summon him with Book of Life. It's Reborn, Soul Charge, World Legacy Succession. I think you could do that. So yeah, next up is the other spicy tech, Vampire Genesis. Now he's the other really old card I decided to run for fun. Now he could only be special summoned by removing Vampire Lord from the field. You're probably thinking, Rony Nerd, you should not run Vampire Lord Vampire Genesis. Well, he's got 3,000 attack points. He could be pretty powerful. And one of the cards I run in my extra deck is Wee Witch's Apprentice, and it gives him 500 extra attack points, which will make him a 35k beater. And he allows me to special summon zombie type monsters from my graveyard, because what he does is that I could discard a zombie type monster from my hand, and I could special summon a zombie monster from my graveyard that has a lower level than the zombie type monster I discarded. So basically, I discard Scarlet Scourge, I could special summon any zombie type monster that is below level 6. Which is very good, if I wanted to do that. Next up, the one copy of Shadow Vampire. Back in the day, he used to be not as good as a plus, but now he's a really big plus, because, you know, summon him, special summon Scarlet Scourge, special summon the zombie, special summon the vampire monster from the grave, and you can do so many Link Kid Xyz plays with this card, and Synchro. You could do so many crazy plays. As you can see, he's a secret rare. I traded it to get this from one of my friends today, and he's so pretty. Next up, one copy of Vampire Vamp. She's so pretty. She's one of the reasons why I did the OTKs today, by bringing her out along with Wee Witch's Apprentice. She's like a built-in Relinquished. She's like Relinquished, Because what's returned when this card or a vampire monster is normal summoned to your field, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, so attack higher than this card's, equip it to this card, and it gains that monster's original attack. So basically, it's just like Relinquished. And basically today, I went up against Blue Eyes deck, and was it a Chaos Max, but I took my opponent's alternative white. This had 2,000, but then it gained 3,000, it was at 5,000, but then it was at 55, and I was able to put so much damage on the board. Next up, one of the very, very oldest cards ever in Yu-Gi-Oh! Helpo Emmer. Now, this is one of the reasons why I don't run Vampire Grace, because I wanted to get him. I got him today from one of my friends. He is a very, very good card now. He is not a zombie, he's a fiend, but he's a level 5. But see, with Zombie World, you can easily get him out from the grave by using Book of Life, so he's very recurable. And then when this card is set to the graveyard as a result of battle, its effect is activated as long as this card is in the graveyard. Your opponent discards one card randomly from their hand at the end of their battle phase, and the other player gets special summon this card from the graveyard. So basically, oh wait, never player gets special summon this card from the graveyard, sorry. So I get special summon to the graveyard, which is okay. Wait, it says nightmare player gets special summon this card for the graveyard. Okay, so I get special summon it from the graveyard. If I could do that, but that's okay. I made a mistake. Sorry, forget what I said. Forget what I said about special summoning with Book of Life. But that's okay. But when I did bring it out, when I went up against the Sky Striker and Goki, they kept on ripping cards out of their hands when they destroyed Helpo Emmer. It's because they paid for it. Next up, you run 3 each of the little guys. Triple Vampire Familiar. He's the level 1. He is very good because you use him to go into Link Kuribo, or if you have 2 Dark Monsters on the field, you could go into Wee Witch's Apprentice, or if you have 2 zombies, which most of them are zombies, you could go to Vampire Sucker, because now when he is special summoned, you pay 500, search for any vampire monster, because every single game at the tournament, I was able to go into Vampire Lord and Vampire Genesis every single game. I was also able to sometimes go into Red Eye Zombie Dragon, bring up Vampire Frontline. It was if you saw at the tournament, you guys would have been blown away. Next up, Triple Vampire Retainer. This is like it's level 2. And he's like searches vampire spells and traps, and he is like also the main searcher. One of the main searchers, you pay 500. When special summon, you search for a vampire spell or trap. Also, I forgot to mention, you discard a vampire monster, and you can special summon either one from the graveyard. So you can easily set it up for synchro or link plays. Next up, the main 2 hand trap, which is pretty much the only hand trap I run. It's double Vampire Frontline. So when a monster attacks, so basically when I attack or my opponent attacks, this card gets special summoned, and I can pay life points in multiples of 100, maximum 3,000. Then my zombie type monsters gain that much attack until the end of the turn, and maximum I can pay is 3,000. So basically, when my Vampire Genesis was at 3,500 due to Wee Witch's Apprentice, and I had Vampire Frontline on the field, I attacked, gave up 3,000 life points, made him 6,500 attack. My opponent was obviously playing Blue Eyes. He played a couple traps in the deck actually because he was not an ordinary Blue Eyes deck. He wanted to try to play a bit defensively, so he tried to play Quake and Mirror Force, but I had a Vampire Domination set, so just in case, and I was able to do my OTK. Next up, one of my main best techs is One Dark Refer. He's like one of the best cards because he's like one of my best Foolish Burials, because I won the one Foolish Burial. But with him, I could pitch a dead card because I discarded a dark monster, and then I could set a dark monster from my deck to the graveyard. All of my monsters are dark. But I could pitch a dead card in my hand, so he is a very good card because I can normal summon him. But I can also discard a level 5 or higher dark monster to special summon him, so basically I can pitch any dead card. So I can basically pitch cards I can't normal summon. Next up, my very old cards from the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime. You guys ready for this? Double Goblin Zombie. He's like he's like very old. He's from the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime. This card was used in Yami Bakura's deck, but I decided to run him because he's a zombie card, and because read to use effects, because he's actually pretty cool. When this card inflicts spell damage to your opponent, send the top card of their deck to the graveyard, which is actually pretty cool because it mills their card. Then when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add one zombie monster with 1200 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So basically, when you saw that my Vampire Familiar and my Vampire Retainer had 0 defense, that card is basically like a Sandgam for zombies. So basically, it's Search by Familiar and my Retainer. And he may have 1100 attack, it may be weak, but that's okay. My Vampire for Online can boost his attack, so I can make him a very big beat stick. And he can be very powerful. Next up, Tube Lake Spreader. He's the main tuner for my synchro plays, and he can also be searched off of Goblin Zombie. He is like very good, and I use him with Scarlet Scorch to go into one of my best synchros, and you're gonna see another synchro that requires him for the synchro summon. You could also special summon him by putting one card from your hand on top of the deck, so you could easily use him for, can't use it for a synchro, you can use it for a link play. Last monster of the deck, one Vampire Sorcerer. Now I know some people run him, some people don't, but I like to run him because I can easily pitch him with Dark Grepher, or I can send him for the deck to the graveyard, Foolish Burial, and some combos actually come up with that because I can pitch him, summon Shadow Vampire, Special Summon Familiar. Then I was able to do some combos to bring out Vampire Lord and Vampire Genesis. It was pretty wild. That's why I was able to bring out Vampire Genesis every single game. Next up is the field spell, Triple Zombie World. You guys remember this card? It was in the Zombie World structure deck when it came out during the 5Ds era. All monsters in the field and graveyard because zombie type monsters, and never player contributes some monsters except zombie type. And this card becomes very powerful because Vampire Scorch has that effect, obviously already, but Red Eye Zombie Dragon gains that effect too with Zombie World. Next up is Triple Called by the Grave. Looks like you see that some cards are a bit damaged. Well, it's because my siblings ruined the cards a little bit. Just ignore that, but Called by the Grave is a very good card I use because I don't want to get hand trapped. And when my opponents used Ash against me, including a couple of my friends, they paid for it. And they were not very happy. Next up is Double Terraforming. I use this to search the field spell. This was mandatory. Next up is Double Book of Life. This is like the Monster Reborn of the deck. But yeah, you know what Book of Life does. It allows you to revive a zombie type monster, and you can remove a monster from your opponent's graveyard. One start to draw a card. This is the only draw card I have in the deck. This is the only draw card I needed. One Monster Reborn, good extender. I don't have World Legacy Succession of Soul Charge, but this is still a good card overall. One Foolish Burial. This is like the best cards of the decks to set up my combos. It's such a good card. I wish it was at 3, but I don't think it'll ever come back to 3 if it did. It would make zombie decks so broken. 1 for 1 to summon my Familiar. And the last spicy text, one Vampire Kingdom. It gives my zombie time monsters. Zombie time monsters get 500 attack during damage calculation only. So during the mirror match, it kind of would be bad, but most of the time it really doesn't matter. And its popping effect can actually be pretty useful because it'll allow me to send my cards from my deck to the graveyard, like my vampire cards, ones that I need to get in the graveyard, so it could be very useful. And last but not least, the only 3 trap cards I run. Triple Vampire Domination. Now I see people only running 2, but I kind of want to see this in my hand. If I don't see it, I can use Retainer to search it. It's a very powerful counter trap. Now it's only a hard once per turn, but that's okay. When a spell trap or monster effect is activated while you control a vampire monster, negate the activation if you do, destroy that card. But if it was a monster effect, you gain that much life points. That is crazy, because you gain that much life points. That is why I up against my friend's Blue-Eyes deck, and I negated his alternative weight, and he tried to destroy my Vampire Genesis. I gained 3,000 life points, which put me up to 11,000, and helped set me up for the OTK. And I still had plenty of life points left over. And now on to the extra deck. One Dampier, the Vampire Sheridan. Now he only comes up every once in a while because I only have 2 level 6 monsters in the deck. Now like I said, I don't have Vampire's Domain or Vampire's Desire. I only don't want to run Vampire's Desire because I think it's a really bad neg one. I see people say you should run it. You could probably say in the comments you should run it. Brony Nerd, you should buy it, but I don't want to because I just don't. One Crimson Vampire Ram. I can actually make this card with Shadow Vampire and Vampire Frontline, but sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. Now on to the 2 synchros that I can make. Archfiend Zombie Skull is actually a very useful zombie type monster because you could actually make this card pretty easily with Plague Spreader. Zombie type monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, and that also includes him. And if he's pointing to Proxy Dragon, you can just use Proxy Dragon's effect to destroy him, but he won't get popped, and all your zombie monsters will stay protected, and so will Proxy Dragon. Next is Beals. He's a pretty powerful card. You obviously know what he does because he's broken. Vampire Sucker. Vampire Sucker is a pretty good card. She's for Blaze of Destruction. I traded this with my friends too on the way back. If you're choosing a monster for a tribute summon, you can choose a zombie time monster your opponent controls, even though you don't control them. This is why this is a pretty powerful card. This is why I run Zombie World. You can only use each of these effects once per turn. You can target one monster your opponent's graveyard, spread a summon to your opponent's field in defense position. But it becomes a zombie monster, and that's why you run Zombie World. If a zombie monster is special summoned from other GY, draw a card. Next up is 2 Wee Witch's Apprentice. This is why I run it, is for the OTK. You should know what this does. All dark monsters on the field get 500 attack and defense, and all light monsters is 400 attack and 1 step from field to grave. Add dark monster from graveyard back into your hand, so it's good for recursion. One Nightmare Goblin for the additional summon. One Cerberus to pop and special summon monsters. Nightmare Phoenix, pop spells and traps. Obviously, Proxy, I mentioned this before, to protect your monsters from battle card effects. And 2 Link Karibo. I want to run 2, because, you know, it's such a good card to protect your monsters from attacks, and you can easily bring it back. 1 Underclock. Such a generic card to reduce your opponent's attack. And lastly, the best card in my deck, Topologic Bomber Dragon. When I was at the tournament, this actually came up a couple times because it was able to help me nuke my opponent's field to go for game. It was such a good card. So, I hope you guys enjoyed my deck profile, and this was, I was inspired to make this deck profile by the Cali Effect, Team Cyber X1, and Simo. Those are 3 of my best favorite Yu-Gi tubers. I suggest that you go and check those guys out. So let me know in the comments section what you think. Tell me if how I can improve my deck. I know you should tell me how to get use the Vampire's domain, and like I said, it arrived at my home in Maryland in the mail. My mother told me it did, and I plan to put it in my deck as soon as I get home and do some more playtesting at home and with my friends in Maryland and see how it works out. So I hope you guys enjoy my deck profile. This is Boring Nerd 225 signing out.